Hello, hello. Welcome back to Practitioner Training Tuesday or Tuesday Training. I'm not sure what we're calling it. Lori called it, um, Lori called it tidbits or something. I think that's what she called it. It was super cute. Anyway, Training Tuesday, here we are. I'm so happy to see all of you. And I'm happy to know that those of you who are watching on the replay are making a regular event of it. Thank you so much for letting me know and for your feedback and your emails. And whoops, it just shook the table. That was not an earthquake. Thank you for letting me know that you are gaining some value from these trainings. I really love hearing that. I love being here with you. For those of you who are here for the first time, welcome. It's a delight to have you. My name is Gina Schatz. I'm the developer of the Schatz method, which is a method I developed clinically, working as both a movement and manual practitioner. And the method is pretty magic, actually. That's what the client feedback is anyway, even from the practitioners who are newly using it in their practice. The feedback consensus often is, wow, that was magic. How'd that happen? So we really love it. And the idea is that if you're working orthopedically, if you're working with functional anatomy, if you're looking for permanent results for pain and dysfunction, that's what we do in the Schatz method. So I love it. I love teaching it. I love teaching people who aren't even in the mastery program, because that means that if you're here, then you are investing in not only your own skill, but you're actually investing in your clients as well. And whether they know that you're here or not, I know that you're here, and I appreciate you and all the good work that you're doing in the world. So welcome. If you've been here for the 100th time or the first time, I love that you're here. And if you are here and I see some of you are not on camera and not using your mic, that's totally fine. I understand you guys have given me feedback that sometimes you're listening in from your treatment setting and you don't really have the opportunity to weigh in live like that. That's okay. You can still communicate with me by using the chat feature. So you can type in your questions or anything that you have, and I will respond to you. And if you're watching on the replay, of course, leave it in the comments below. I'm very happy to answer your questions, just letting some people in. So that's what the pause was about. Someone new in. Welcome, William. I'm glad that you're here. So yeah, either leave messages down below this video in the comment section. I see them and read them all, and I will answer you, or you can always direct email me as well. So the way we work it every Tuesday is I riff for about 20 or 30 minutes on something anatomy-esque, functional anatomy or something else. Hey, William, nice to come on camera while you're driving. Be careful. Be careful. And then I'll open it up for Q&A. So any questions that you have, either on something that I shared today or something that you came to today with, question, client question, anatomy question, a specific tool that you're training in, anything open. There's, everything's what's the word? I was going to say accepted, but that sounds so judicial. Anyway, any question, I'm open to any question, any way that I can serve you. All right, so let's get into it. First of all, happy February 14th. Happy Love Day. Even though I really believe that every day is Love Day, I don't think we should reserve that for one day of the year. In fact, I just heard someone today say that the reason Valentine's Day was invented is because it's the halfway mark between the money-making Christmas and the money-making Easter holidays. And I just really laughed. It was very funny. So anyway, happy Love Day every day, and especially for those of you who do celebrate Valentine's Day, I want to acknowledge that for you today. I want to talk to you today about a tool, one of my favorite tools. And we have in the past talked about the differences between tools, techniques, and method, and when to use either. Clearly, I'm method savvy because, hello, I developed one of my own. And with that being said, I do think that tools are necessary. So I want to make sure that I just clarify that out of the gate, that yes, I believe that that a method is the way to get from point A to point Z for sure. And we need tools along the way to implement in a method to get us to those endpoints, beginning and endpoints. So I think all tools are valid, and they don't all work on all people. And the reason why we know that to be true, it's not a judgment, but the reason why we know that to be true is because if there was one tool that worked, we'd all be using it. We would have found it by now, right? There's really a whole lot of new information that we haven't all had access to. We do know how the body works. And I know that we're still exploring the body and we'll never know everything about the body. And it's not like though some of us are in the dark and some of us aren't. Meaning if you've been here for a while, in this industry, you've done some continuing education and you know what's available. We all are pretty privy to what's available. And we always get to learn something new. So one of the tools that I really like, I've always liked it, and I still like it, and I still teach it, and I still use it. One of the tools that I really like is PNF. PNF. Does anybody know what PNF stands for? I love sharing this with clients, and then and then watching them go, oh, because it sounds so big and important. And it is actually big and important. Does anybody know what PNF stands for? PNF is an acronym. It's an acronym for Proprioceptive Neuromuscular Facilitation. Sounds like a lot of consonants, and it is. And I always say at the end of that, when I'm sharing that with the client, there will not be a quiz on this at the end. You don't have to remember that. PNF is totally fine. One of the reasons I particularly love PNF is because by definition, if you look up PNF, it is described in great detail. There is a very specific formula that goes with it. And at the end of all of that scientific data, the true definition of PNF is that they don't know how it works. It is a phenomenon. And that lights me up because that's like, oh, look at the magic of the body weighing in. Like, we're all super smart and sassy as practitioners, and we're doing amazing things on the planet. I totally love that. I'm the biggest cheerleader for all of us. And when we're implementing PNF, it's actually the body's way of saying, hey, I got something here that's magic, right? Back to that magic and phenomenon, and all of that just really lights me up. So I really do appreciate PNF, and I've gotten a ton of results with it. So it's not just that I like it because it's a phenomenon. It's actually when I implement it, it's a win every time. It's quick, it's easy, it's to the point, it gets you results. And if it's not the tool that you need, you haven't spent a whole lot of time on that and nobody got hurt. Not that anybody should get hurt when you're using your tools, but meaning it's not labor intensive as a practitioner. So I don't know about those of you who are here, but you know, there's some trainings that I've taken where they're fun and they're great and they're effective, and it's a lot of work, right? It's like manual labor to do the work that we do all day long. And that can be exhausting after a day or a season or, you know, a lifetime. PNF's not like that. PNF's super straightforward. It doesn't require a lot of effort or force or confusion from the client. They can do it even when they're in an acute state of pain and in a chronic state of pain, and certainly in preventive as well. So we've talked about the 3 different pain types here before. There's a masterclass on that. If you're not clear on which one you're navigating or how and when to navigate them, you got to know that if you're navigating the world of pain for your clients. So PNF is good for all 3 pain types. It doesn't require a whole lot from your client. And it's really easy for us to implement, which is super cool. The key with PNF in implementing it is that you need to know the formula for PNF. You need to know how to implement it. It's as much of a phenomenon and magic as it is. It's got a very specific formula. You can't really fudge it. And I'm one of those people that I kind of like to bend the rules a little bit. And, you know, I don't really like to follow the rules, and I kind of want to see how it goes, and I want to explore a little bit. And every time I tinkered with the PNF formula, I didn't get results. And every time I follow the PNF formula, I get results. So take it from me, tinker if you want to, but it works if you follow formula. It doesn't work if you don't follow formula. And, you know, within 8 seconds, you can create the result that you're looking for, because PNF's formula is it takes 6 to 8 seconds. I train my practitioners to always apply PNF twice, right? Do it once, release, do it twice, release, and then you're good to go. So more is not better. More is not better with the formula. More is not better with any length of the formula or force from your client or force from you. And you don't need to repeat it 3, 4, 5 times. It's 2 and done, and you're good. So that's another reason why I really love it. PNF specifically works on the Golgi tendon organs. The Golgi tendon organs are physiological points, pieces, parts, if you will, inside the tendon of a muscle. Muscles are attached to bones through tendons, and these Golgi tendon organs are like receptors inside the tendon that respond to force. And I really like this concept of responding to force as we start thinking through, what does that actually mean? It means the force that your body is put into in regular workouts, for example, like how much force and torque are you putting on that muscle to press the body weight or the external weight that you're working with. That's really important for personal trainers to relate to and understand. You know, that first sort of like push when you're loading weights, that can create a Golgi tendon organ response. So you want to be really thoughtful about that. And I know for those of you who are personal trainers here, we have personal trainers in our alum inside the Mastery Practitioner training program. Those of you who are personal trainers, you've got your math. You know about your loads. You know how much muscle weight to offer your client. You know how to incrementally increase that. That's amazing. I'm trained as a personal trainer. I did the schooling, but I never worked on the floor as a personal trainer. And the thing that I took away from that training was it's so much math. And I mean, I dig it, and it's not where my brain likes to spend the day. So I applaud all of you and acknowledge all of you trainers in the group that you're really doing the math. And if we don't know the math, if we forgot to do the math, or we don't know the math, and we're adding external weight load to a client in their workout routine, we can actually create a Golgi tendon organ response. We need to know that. So that's one of the things, again, like I love about PNF, because if we understand the formula and how it works and what it works on, we can utilize that formula and reverse engineer what the body's trying to tell us and what the information is in the body when it comes to functional movement mechanics and when things go wrong. So yes, it's an amazing tool in its own right. And again, the way that formula works is literally the body's way of communicating with each of us. And so if we lean into that and listen to what the body has to say, we actually become a lot more, we become wiser when it's us interfacing with the body, because the body has something to say. It's one of the things I say all the time, that when you are working with a client, there's 3 of you in the room. And I don't mean another practitioner or their spouse. I mean the client and you and their body. And all 3 of you have equal input in what's going to create success for you in that session. It's also the 3 of you understanding what's up, meaning what the history is, or what the symptoms mean, or where the treatment plan should go. The body gets to weigh in on that for sure. And so when we look at a tool like PNF, we can create more understanding about the body's communication, the body's input on what's happening in the session and the experience that you're having with that client and with their body. So I really love looking at PNF like that. Like, oh, if PNF were teaching me instead of me applying PNF, what would PNF be teaching me? Oh, right. It would be telling me this about the tendons. It would be telling me this about the Golgi tendon organs. It would be telling me this about torque and force. Oh, okay. Wow. Okay, cool. So then I can start to understand what the body's going through under these circumstances. The other way that I love understanding PNF and how it works with the body is that when we are creating, or when we're experiencing something in our body that's not something that's thought out, not something mechanical, like I'm going to go to the gym, I'm going to add this much weight onto my, into the barbell or whatever it is I'm working. I'm not methodical and thoughtful about what I'm doing, but life happens and I slip and fall, or trip and fall, or slide down a flight of stairs, or someone's dog pulls them on the leash, or something that, or skiing accident, right? We slip and fall, we wipe out, or roller skating, or anything like that, where it's not planned. In those instances, when we make impact, when we have impact trauma, I call it, the body is responding to that in ways that are protective, right? So if I slip and fall, or if my dog's pulling on the leash, for example, and my hypermobility in my shoulder would maybe create a problem for my rotator cuff, my body's going to respond and make sure that there is no problem. And it's going to actually pull back in response to that force. That's the work of the Golgi tendon organs. That's amazing, because I don't really want all of us to have our appendages ripped off when something pulls on them too hard. And I don't really want our pelvis to, disconnect from the three bones in the pelvis. I refer to them as like Lego blocks, all clicking in. We don't really want those to just disconnect because trauma and impact came in and like disrupted the system. We want to be able to still stay whole, and the body's so beautifully designed that it will create a way to survive, even if we're not treating it well. And that same thing is true for nutrition, but also in the way we work musculoskeletally, the way we function in our body. So if we have an impact trauma situation where our body experiences that impact, the Golgi tendon organs are going to respond. And the way I describe it is they lock, right? They respond by going, oh, because they are preventing the muscle from pulling off the bone. That's important, right? We don't want muscles to be separate from bones. We want everything to stay intact. And so that lockdown creates like a faux strength, if you will, meaning that the tissue is saved from too much torsion, which could pull things apart. That's awesome. I love that that's designed that way. And when that happens and the Golgi tendon organs respond in that way, nobody tells them to stop. And that's when PNF comes in, and it's this amazing tool that says, oh, hey, the threat's over. You can like let go now. And if we don't, as practitioners, take in a full history and understand what the body's gone through and how many of those instances have occurred inside the body, we might miss that a Golgi tendon organ is running an old program and that it actually needs a little bit of, hey, it's okay, you can let go now. And that would be the time when we get to implement PNF. So we get to listen to our clients' response and their history and take really good subjective part of our SOAP note charting and really take in the whole picture. I find that practitioners tend to take what a client says today and like jump to action a little too soon without getting a bigger picture. So take your time, be patient, take a deep breath. You know, I've written you guys a couple newsletters, love letters, I call them, where I say, you know, listening is your biggest skill. It's the greatest tool in your toolbox. Just listen a little longer, listen to what they're saying, listen to what the body's saying, and try not to jump too quick into action, because we tend to like go too quickly and then just make everybody very busy for the hour and not really create any results. So just take your time and listen. If you're getting that information from your client and experiences that they've had in their body, you might start leaning towards, oh yeah, there might be some Golgi tendon organ response in there. The body will also tell you, again, the body is the third party in the room. You get to listen to the body. The body may also tell you that it needs a little bit of freedom in some muscles, right? So when we talk about muscle tightness, I always have to pause on that, because things we don't call them tight in our alum. We don't in the Schatz method, we don't say tight. We quantify what type of tightness, because they're all different and they don't all require stretching. I've talked to you guys about this before. So if we recognize that a muscle has a type of tightness that is impeding the lever system, meaning it's not contracting, it's not lengthening, it's locked, right? And I say that in air quotes, and I know that there's other practitioners that say it's not a real way of describing muscle activity. Stop saying locked, it doesn't really quantify it. I get it. The point is, if the lever system's not working, the muscle spindles are not sliding over each other towards for contraction and away for lengthen. If that's not happening, there's a great probability that the Golgi tendon organs are at play and they're preventing anything from pulling away, right? That's what we said. That's what their responsiveness is about. We like that about them. So if you're recognizing in your work with a particular muscle that it is not lengthening or contracting, the muscle spindles are not really working, go again, broader picture. And instead of just focusing on the spindles and poking the muscle and making it work or adding more weight and forcing a contraction, think more broadly, like, where is that muscle connected? And is that connection where the problem is? Because again, where it's connected is the tendon. That's where the Golgi tendon organ is. Okay. So the last thing I want to share with you guys about PNF and why I love this as a tool is we've talked, I believe it was last week or maybe the week before, we talked about alignment, and that those of you who are yogis, I know that alignment is where you focus, and I applaud you for it. It's amazing. External alignment, meaning where is my shoulder girdle relative to my pelvic girdle? Where is my, I'm tossing around my strings on my sweater here. Where is my chin and my cervical curve relative to my lumbar curve? Where are all of these pieces, parts that I can physically see externally? Where is this alignment? Totally important, right? Optimal alignment must be, absolutely. We've got to put the axial skeleton where it's designed relative to the axis so that our muscles aren't doing work to just try to keep us in posture. We want to just put ourselves in posture and then strengthen there, 100%. And internally, there's also internal alignment that's going on. Everywhere there is a joint in the body, there's movement. Anywhere there's movement, there's muscles. Muscles move bone. A muscle can move a bone where there's a joint, and it can be moved and held in a position that's not ideal or optimal. And we may not know that by looking at someone externally. That's when we have to have different tools to measure structures and understand what's happening with the alignment of the body. Also something we do deeply in the Schatz method. If, for example, we have an accident, an impact trauma accident where we fall, which I've done many times, and we fall and we hit, let's say, for example, one hip. We slip, our legs come out from underneath us on some black ice, and whoop, boom, we fall and one hip hits the ground. Well, the pelvis itself, like I said, are Lego blocks. There's 3 Lego blocks, right innominate, left innominate, and the sacrum in the back. And they click together, all connecting at a joint, which means there's movement there. If all of the impact from my fall hits one of those 3 bones, meaning like one innominate, but the other innominate, my right hip hits the ground, but my left one doesn't, the impact that comes in from that impact into my right innominate passes through the SI joint. This is the pelvis, right? I should have had Murph with me today. This is the pelvis, right and left innominate, and the sacrum in the back. If all of the impact comes in on the right innominate, it passes through the SI joint in the back, and the left innominate is affected. It's not affected from the impact directly, but it's indirectly affected by the impact. And so are all 3 of those joints in that connected Lego block formation. So if all of those joints are affected by that impact, and everywhere there's a joint, that means a bone meets another bone, we know that there's 2 pieces of connective tissue also at play. There's the tendon that attaches the muscle to that bone, and muscles attach at bones cross a joint. That's how they create the movement. And we also know there's ligaments affected where the 2 bones meet. Now, if everything I've said so far, you're like, what the hell are you talking about? That's okay. And I'm going to invite you to take a deep breath and know that there's really easy ways for you to fill the gaps on that. Okay. And I'm here for you for that. In fact, the reason why I have all the courses that I have is because all of these pieces need to be in place in our brain to be able to problem solve when we're working with a client. And I know you want them. That's why you're here. If you're still working on bones and joints and joint action, no worries. We can support you with that. If remembering that the way that a muscle creates movement is it has to pass a joint, if that was new for you today, or you're like, oh shoot, I totally forgot about that, we have support training for you for that. If PNF is like, I don't even know what you're talking about and I don't know how to apply it, and you're telling me it's this great tool, I have a masterclass on that. Like, my point is, I can fill in these gaps for you. So I'm inviting you while we're talking to just be open and be like, check, I know what she's talking about. Check, I know what she's talking about. Oh, nope, I have no idea what that is. And then let's fill in the blanks for you, right? Because sometimes if you just fill in the blanks, you'll have all the information you need to create the awesome treatment plan that you deserve to have and that your client deserves from you. So back to we slip and fall, and we hit one hip on the ground, and that hip takes all the impact, and all the muscles around that impact are affected, meaning most of them have a Golgi tendon organ response because they had all that force come at them as your body weight slammed down on the ground. That's a big deal. It would be short-sighted for us to think that the pelvis, as 3 bones Lego blocked together, it would be short-sighted of us to think that one or all of them did not get affected and get knocked a little bit off track. And when the Golgi tendon organ response is to lock down, now the bones are knocked off track and they're locked there because muscles move bone. It's not the other way around. So when muscles move bone and now the muscle's not moving because it's like, I don't want anything else to get hurt, so I'm just going to lock us here in place. And again, I'm using that phrase just for description's sake. Then we as practitioners need to recognize that there's an internal alignment that's also affected by that impact, and we still get to apply PNF to try to support the solution for that. Okay, so I like using PNF in all of these ways, and I wanted to just highlight them and outline them for you. If you're not yet using PNF in your practice, boy, my goodness, I want you to try it because it's such an effective tool that covers so much territory. Again, super easy for you and for the client. And if you are already using PNF, I want you to share that with me and let me know so that I can celebrate you. I'd also love, if you're using PNF, I'd love for you to share the formula. So I'm not going to share the formula with you here today because I want us to use it as a as a strategic thinking opportunity. It's one of the things that my practitioners hate to love. Maybe they love to hate it. Because I believe that if I just give you all the answers, then you're just nodding like, yeah. And that's not the way that we learn, actually. Not only are you not going to learn just by me talking at you, but unless you're implementing what I've talked to you about, there'll be greater learning for you if you implement what we're talking about. And if you think through how to do the implementing, even better. That means that then you'll own it. So strategic thinking and how do you come up with your answers and then apply them is really important. And I think it's a skill set for an expert level practitioner for sure. Of course, listening is our greatest skill. So if you are using PNF, I would love for you to share with me the formula. And if you're open to it, I'll offer some feedback. I've offered this mini quiz, mini challenge before to a few other practitioners. And interestingly enough, it might've just been in the translation and it might've also been in the understanding. They had the formula actually backwards. So if we don't know how to apply PNF, we could be doing this really easy thing and thinking that it's just not working and then miss the value of the tool. So it matters that we know muscles and the formula and that we can apply them together. So I just want to acknowledge those of you who've just come in. Thank you. And I'm glad that you're here. I know that there's a big chunk of what we talked about earlier that you can catch on the replay. I've been talking now for almost 30 minutes. And as promised, I'm going to turn it over to you and open up the next 30 minutes for Q&A. So if you have a question that you came here with, I would love to answer that for you. The questions are open to anything. It doesn't have to be on what we talked about today. It doesn't have to be on PNF. It can be on another tool that you use. And maybe you like the tool, maybe you're not sure how to use the tool. Maybe you have a client question, maybe you have an anatomy question, whatever the questions that you come with, I'm here for it. I love kind of being on the hot seat. I feel like you guys think you're on the hot seat when I open up to Q&A, but I'm on the hot seat because I don't know what you're going to ask. And I get to, kind of come up with the answer, which I love to do. It's part of my strategic thinking too, right? So I always practice what I teach. So please do either type in the chat if you're not able to get to the mic or come off camera and share with me what your question is in the chat. I will read it and answer it for you. If you're open to coming off, opening up your mic and letting us have a conversation, it's always my preference to do that, to chat with you and connect with you. I really like connected conversations. And if you want to come on video too, so that I can see you even better, it would almost be like being in the room with you. So I'm going to turn that over to you guys. I'm here for any questions that you have for today, for the rest of the time that we have. I'm going to check the chat. I don't see any questions coming in yet. Come on, guys. I knew you have a question. You came here for something today. You came here for something today. What was it? What were you hungry for today that may or may not have already been discussed? Because it can still be discussed. I can still open it up and talk with you and answer your questions. I'm so glad that you guys are here today. If there's no questions, that's okay. We don't have to do Q&A. It will be the first, I think. I think it's the first since we've been doing Training Tuesday, I think, for about 2 years now, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it's been about 2 years. And this may be the first day that we didn't have live questions, which is kind of fun. Wonder what that's about. Maybe you guys are all feeling love and floaty today, and that's super cool too. Anyway, I'll stay here for just another minute. If there's no questions, that's okay. We can wrap up for today. I want to thank you all for being here. Like I said at the beginning, if you were here and you're hearing it for the second time, good, awesome. If you haven't yet heard me say it, I want to just acknowledge each of you for the time that you take and the investment that you make in yourself and in your skill set, in your professionalism, because I know that that means that you're serving your clients. They may not know that you're here today. They may not know that you're taking your time to learn more for them on their behalf, but I do. And I want to recognize and acknowledge each one of you for that. Your clients do trust you or they wouldn't have chosen you. So keep that in mind as well. And I want to also, invite you, if this was valuable for you today, or if any of the Training Tuesdays are valuable for you, I could slow down a little. Maybe I wouldn't swallow my tongue while I'm talking. If you found value here today and you want to share that with a colleague, I really would welcome that. Thank you so much. We all get to be supported. I think it's old school. I don't think it's current anymore, but there used to be a time when practitioners were really highly competitive with each other. I remember being in live workshops, you travel, you get your flight, get your hotel, you do the whole thing. and I would be so excited to go into a room with practitioners and just like want to brainstorm with all of them. And there was an air of competition, and I don't feel that as much anymore. We're also not always in the same room together. Asia's in the house. Oh, hey, it's nice to see you. I know you can't hear me yet, Asia, because your audio's not on, but I can see you. Nice to see you, Asia. So glad that you're here, taking it on the road with you and William today, or driving and doing. I love it. But anyway, I was going to say, I could finish what I'm saying, that I don't feel like there's much competition anymore. And it might also be because we're not feeling it as much because we've moved to an online platform. A lot of us, we are back in person, which is beautiful. But I just want to acknowledge that there's never been any competition. There wasn't competition then, and there isn't competition now. And the more that we recognize that we're all in it together, there's not enough of us to serve all the people that deserve us. So if we can recognize that we're all in it together and bring your colleagues with you, we'll all win, actually. So please do share the love. Thank you so much for that. I'm going to ask one more time if there's any questions before we wrap up for today. I see all of you who are here. Thank you so much for being here. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. Going once, going twice. Okay, guys, I just want to also let you know today that I will not be having Training Tuesday next Tuesday. I will be on a flight plane, flying to someplace sunny and beautiful. So I'll be back 2 weeks from today. So no Training Tuesday on February 21st, but we'll be back again on February 28th. I'm really looking forward to seeing you guys then. Please let me know how I can serve you. If there's a particular topic you want me to cover, I will come loaded and ready for you. So I always love your love notes. Send me an email anytime. Let me know what's on your mind, and I will serve you that way. If that's all for today, no questions from you guys. Are you sure? Because I love answering questions. Okay, no questions for today. I'll see you guys 2 weeks from today for the next Training Tuesday. Have a beautiful day. Continue to do great work in the world. I'm so proud to be colleagues.